Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Don't go away. On this show, we have a special guest all the way from Israel, Richard Summers. So we'll be right back. Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm your host, Perry Black, and on this show we have a very special guest. You know, I often say here at Family Church in Bryant, a church alive's worth to drive, but our guest today couldn't drive fast or far enough because he's all the way from Israel. Richard Summers, welcome to the TV show.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you. And as we explained off camera, our goal in the very first segment is I want the audience to get to know you. And I've only met you a few months ago myself, very briefly, and so I want to know more about you. So tell me a little bit about you, Richard. Where did you grow up?
Okay, so I grew up in a city in the UK called Birmingham. Okay, I was one of 5 kids who were Jewish in my school. Okay, that was it. We were in a school of 1,000 kids, and I was one of 5.
One of 5 Jewish
kids. The Jewish kids. So
in a Protestant Christian school.
In a Protestant Christian school.
You feel like a fish out of water, did you?
I felt under the spotlight all day long, and I grew up in the 80s, so it was at the very beginning of the first Lebanon War, and it was a predominantly area of immigrants that I grew up in. And there was a lot of bad feeling about the Lebanon War. And I grew up basically every day going to school and having kids turn around and say, go back home where you came from.
But you were born in the UK?
I was born in the UK.
So it's kind of hard to go back to where you're from, huh?
Yeah, although it did make me start to look.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a Jewish home, but a secular Jewish home, and I don't know if that translates even into.
Well, explain that to me. Does that mean you were born Jewish?
I was born Jewish.
But you were not practicing Judaism?
I wasn't practicing Judaism, although there's no such thing as not practicing Judaism.
How do you practice what you are? Huh?
Okay, it's that thing of you go to synagogue 3 times a year. Okay,
Did you do that?
I did, because that's the way that you remain within the community.
Yeah.
And I also went to a Jewish youth club. All right, every Sunday we rocked up, and the 5 Jews hung out together.
Yeah.
Okay.
All 5.
All 5 of us, and we'd learn about Jewish history, and we'd learn about the beginning of the State of Israel. And little by little, it had an effect on me. It had an effect on me in terms of those kids who were turning around and saying, "Go home to where you came from." I began to realize actually there was a place where I came from.
Yeah.
And when I went to university when I was 17. I was kind of a bright kid somewhere along the line. Something went well. And while I was at university, I decided to take as part of my responsibility to actually run the national organization that I'd been going to as a kid, because I understood how much it gave to me.
And what was the national organization?
It was an organization called Habonim Dror. Okay, it's just like a Jewish scout movement, basically. Okay. So I was responsible for arranging camps for about 1,000 kids every year. Kids very similar to me, kids who grew up in a Jewish home but not necessarily were deeply involved. And the idea was to try and turn around and say, we have a responsibility for the 6 million that had been killed during the Holocaust, and that we had to keep our traditions alive. When I was 19, I was in a political meeting about student loans in England, and somebody just turned around to me and said, "Hey, we saw what you do in your spare time. You're not welcome here." All right. And I kind of made a decision at that point that, okay, if I'm not welcome in the place that I grew up, then let's go to the place where my forefathers came from.
There you go. Yeah.
And at the age of 19, I got on a plane and bought a one-way ticket and moved to Israel.
What about the other 4? Did they stay in the
Actually,
UK?
funnily enough, the other 4, there are 2 who are living in Israel now. And 1 who moved to New York.
Okay.
The one who moved to New York, we're still in discussions with.
Yeah, we never give up on family. So you, at 19, you made your way to Israel.
I made my way to Israel.
Alone?
Alone.
By yourself?
By myself.
Any connections there?
No.
You just got off the plane and said, I'm home.
I did. And
Tell me, when you got off the plane,
yeah,
was there something spiritual, was there something significant that happened as you stepped onto your the land of your heritage?
Every time you go back to Israel as a Jew, there's something remarkable that happens. There are two things that are remarkable that happens. Okay, one is you stop looking over your shoulder. All right, it's literally you stop looking over your shoulder. It's just kind of, okay, everybody around me is like me. The second thing is that as an immigrant, what happens is you go in and you come with your original passport, and somebody just gives you a huge hug and says, "Welcome home."
Wow.
Okay, and as an English person, that's a little bit off-putting. Okay, we don't touch. But literally, this guy in the immigration office gets up from his chair and just says, "I need to give you a hug because you just come home." And it's like, wow. Okay. All right, that's not like I'm not certain how the immigration officers work in the United States, but it's certainly not how they work in England. So yeah, and I think what you define as spiritual, I define more as acceptance. Okay, that idea of turning around and saying that just somebody turns around and said, okay, now you're a part of the you're back home with your family.
Wow.
Join our table. Break bread with us.
Yes.
And so from there I moved to the far north, to the deep north. I went to live in a place called Kibbutz Kadarim. Okay, Kibbutz Kadarim is like this really small community on a hill that overlooks the Sea of Galilee.
Wow. Okay,
so every morning I get out, sit on my balcony, drink coffee, and look at the Sea of Galilee. And they found exactly the right job for a guy who works who'd grown up in a city, and told me, "You're going to be a cowboy." Okay.
get to live on the kibbutz and be and farm.
Okay, and I was working with this guy called Yusuf. Okay, a Bedouin guy from Tuba. All right. Now he didn't speak any English, and I didn't speak any Hebrew at the time. So we'd ride out every morning, and it was very quiet. Yeah. And one morning, I'm sitting on just below the city of Sfat, on my horse, looking at the cows that are in Nachal Amud, okay, or in the Amud Valley, and I'm thinking, wow, I can do this for 5 years. And when I realized I could do it for 5 years, I realized you need to move, because there's a time limit on this, and I'm not looking for a time limit. I'm looking for a lifetime. And so I moved to Jerusalem.
All right, we're going to take a break in 30 seconds. So tell me a tidbit, and then we're going to take a break. You moved to Jerusalem. Was that significant?
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was in 1994.
1994.
1994. Really significant.
I want you to think about, where were you in 1994, and what would it be like for you to go back to your homeland and for maybe the first time in your life really feel accepted and at home? We'll be right back.
Hi there. I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about Arkansas Christian Academy. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Our name is Arkansas Christian Academy, but most of us just say ACA around here. Our mascot is this guy. Go Knights! Founded in 2001, ACA has grown from only a few classes to having classes in pre-K all the way through 12th grade. As far as class sizes go, we are smaller on average across the board, and we use this to challenge our students academically and individually on a personal level, learning through the lens of God's Word in every subject and growing a personal relationship with Him through our amazing staff and in our daily chapel classes. For a full breakdown, check out our website at archristian.org, and feel free to explore other aspects of our school while you're there. Now, let's go outside. Our still growing campus sits right off I-30 and is protected by gates and doors with magnetic locks, only accessible by faculty and staff. We also have these guys here every day. But seriously though, safety is a priority here at ACA, as we want to ensure not only a quality education, but an environment where learning can flourish without fear or other outside distractions. Now, let's move on to the fun stuff. Here's a shot of our football field, a playground, some kids, another playground, our main gym, a football field again, and this is our brand new middle school. What else?
What about extracurricular activities?
That's right, here at ACA, we offer all different kinds of sports, but that's just the beginning. We have a broadcasting class, spoiler alert, it's really cool, a music and worship program, theater, and a thriving art program complete with a very active yearbook committee.
Wow.
There you have it. Schedule a tour today and find out what all the buzz is about at Arkansas Christian Academy.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. You know, on this show, it's all about fostering, mentoring, and adopting. Richard Summers, our guest, all the way from the country of Israel. What a phenomenal opportunity to get to know Richard and what what he's doing in the land of Father Abraham. And I want you to think about this. Why would I have someone on from Israel if we're talking about fostering, mentoring, adopting? Because as a ministry, we have helped through commission fields, and Richard's outreach in Israel helped build a bomb shelter, not a storm shelter, not a tornado shelter, but a bomb shelter. And Richard, working in Israel, is the spearhead, if you will, the point of the spear, helping people as a result, especially of October 7, of that terrible, terrible massacre. And so, Richard, in our last segment, you ended, and I interrupted you. You've now moved from UK at 19 to North Israel, and then you decided, well, there's got to be something more, and you find yourself in Jerusalem. How old are you now?
I'm now like 22.
22, and you've
22.
now moved to Jerusalem.
To Jerusalem.
Tell me about that.
Okay, Jerusalem at the time. Okay, first of all, you walk through the streets of Jerusalem. I don't know if you've been there, but when you walk through the
I would
streets,
cry the whole time, Richard. Seriously.
so we could cry together.
Yeah.
The real men cry.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That you walk through the streets of Jerusalem, and the first thing is that you feel history, like you're walking through history.
Yeah.
And you're walking through David's history and Solomon's history, but you're also walking through modern history, all right? You can see bullet holes in the walls on the one hand, and on the other hand, you can look down on the floor and you'll find fragments of arrowheads from the time of the Second Temple. It's and the smells and the noises, all right? You're hearing like screams in the marketplaces of like, buy my oranges, buy my and the smells of spices that are the same noises and the same shouts that have been for thousands of years. And on the other hand, you're also hearing like car horns and crazy Israelis in their cars. Jerusalem at that point was a really complicated place. Okay, we were in the we were at the beginning of the Second Intifada. Okay, so every single day there were buses blowing up, there were cafes blowing up, and there was a sense of, on the one hand, we will persevere, and on the other hand, just uncertainty. And it was exactly the time I was about to go into the army as well. Okay, so I basically every single Israeli has to serve in the army. Okay, we have
what's the term? 2 years or 4?
3 years for men, 2 years for women. And then 25 years of reserve duty.
IDF?
IDF.
Okay, Israeli Defense Forces.
Exactly,
okay.
And the word defense is important.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I was going through this thing of, on the one hand, all of a sudden being in this amazing place, and on the other hand, understanding that I had a great sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
And basically, I got called up after a year of being in Jerusalem. I was a combat engineer.
So at some point, did you become, or do you, as a Jewish individual, are you automatically a Jewish Israeli citizen since you're serving in the IDF?
In Israel, you have a thing that's called the law of return. Every single Jew has a right, the day they set foot in the state of Israel, has a right to take on citizenship.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's a legacy, I think, it's two things. It's a legacy in terms of turning around and saying the Jewish people have been in exile for 2,000 years, and therefore anybody who's been in exile has a right to return. And the other side of it is turning around and saying that there'll never be a situation where a Jewish person won't have a place to go post-Holocaust. The idea of turning around and saying that you will always have a home and you'll always have a place of refuge. I mean, I'll go a little bit further even and turn around and say I think it fundamentally changes the relationship between Jewish communities in the diaspora and their own communities, in terms of those communities now know that they have a sovereign state that will defend them even when their own countries turn against them.
Yeah.
So I did my army service with great pride.
At this point, you're 25 or 26 years old?
I'm 25 at this time. I'm older than every other person in the army. Okay, pretty much my commanding officer was 2 years younger than me and used to come to chat with me in the evenings to get to explain to me how hard it was with his girlfriend. I became the father figure. I still did the 120-kilometer march that you have to do in order to get your bury. I served in every war since then. This is the first war I haven't served in, and what I've learned is that actually it's much easier to be a soldier in the army than a parent at home.
Well, yeah. You're a parent of how many girls?
I'm a parent of 3 girls.
How old are they?
I have twins who are 13, and my oldest is 15. And the names are important: Bar, Tal, and Gal. Okay. One of the things that you need to know is the word Bar means wild. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Never call your child wild.
Yeah, because your name means something, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Bar means wild. Tal means Jew. Like what
So you're raising 3 wild Jews, is that what you're telling me?
And Gal means wave. Okay, so Gal was the firstborn, and she was a wave. She literally changed our lives. I didn't actually realize how much love you could feel until I had my first child.
Yeah.
And I'm married to the principal of the local high school, which means my kids cannot get into trouble. And she's Lola. Okay, we live in the most southern city in Israel. We live on the shores of the Red Sea. Okay, you remember when Moses made the waters pass?
Yeah.
So we're on the shores of that sea.
And that is in the very southern part?
The very southern tip of Israel. Effectively, we're living on the border between Jordan on our eastern side, and on our southern side and western side we have Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula.
Wow.
Okay, we have views that are so beautiful that I can't even begin to explain.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been living in that particular city now for almost slightly over 20 years, and there's not a morning when I wake up and I look out of the window and I go,
Beautiful.
okay,
Yeah.
I get why.
Again, you're not just looking at water though, you're looking at miracle history.
Absolutely. We're looking at where the Jews, basically, you're looking at the spice route and also the route that Moses comes into Canaan.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds in this segment, Richard. Tell me.
Okay. So basically today, I moved down to the south because I was offered a job to be responsible for youth at risk in the city of Eilot, and I spent almost 10 years working as the director for youth at risk, trying to find a solution. When you're living that far away, then effectively all the kids are at risk. They're at risk because geographically you don't have the solutions. And what we did and what we realized is that a community can solve problems. And we started looking at everything on a triangle, which meant school, community center, and family. And funnily enough, I think that's how you guys do it.
Yeah.
The idea of turning around and saying, the school can't be responsible for everything, parents can't be responsible for everything, and community centers.
Everybody working together.
But together, when we talk together, we have a really amazing effect on people's lives.
All right, we're going to stop right there because we're having an effect on your life, and we'll be right back with Richard Summers from Israel.
When I grow up, I want to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
That'd be cool. What would you do if you were Sonic?
Run, jump, and spin dash. So what are we gonna do, Bob? My name is Christian. I'm 11 years old. I like to ride bikes, and I like to play with scooters. My favorite part about school is science. My other favorite part at school is math, and my other one is reading. If I had $1 million, I would go to the store and I'd let people get some food and something.
Would you just chilling, hanging out? Hey, but give me that good Christian smile right here. Look at me. Now laugh. Do that funny laugh that you were doing.
I want to be adopted by a nice family that loves me and I love them. I'm a good person. I'm kind, and I am lovable, and family is a good family that take care of us. My favorite food is shrimp and ramen noodles mixed up with cheese in it. If if I only have one wish, I wish to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hey, welcome back. You know, I always come back in this segment, Richard, because the audience just saw a video of one or more children waiting for a family to adopt them. And your work in southern Israel is dealing with young people, many times of the same age that we do through Second Chance Youth Ranch. And that's one reason we're so engaged, number one, as Christians, so engaged with the children and the heritage of Father Abraham. And then because we work daily, we currently have about 80 foster children that we care for every day. And so we're always looking for opportunities to plant seed into ministries and organizations that are impacting children, whether they're local in the state of Arkansas or across the big pond and over by the Red Sea where you live. That's amazing. Yeah. So if I come to Israel, do I get to come to your house down at the Red Sea?
Oh, yes, you will.
Kathy with Commission Field's been trying to get me to come for Israel forever,
and she is right. Just
I don't think there's enough Kleenex for me to go to Israel. I would literally, because you're talking history, our forefathers. It's to me it's mind blowing, and to have you on the show is such an honor. Now on October 7th, 2023. Terrible tragedy took place at a concert there in Israel. And so as a result, thousands of young people and families have moved to southern Israel, where we helped and assisted in building a bomb shelter and a garden. Tell us more about what you're doing there.
Okay, so first of all, we're on the 402nd day of October 2023. We
Over a year.
Until 101 hostages return, we're not moving forward.
Well, I think there's a shifting taking place in America right now that's going to impact, obviously, what's happening in Israel and those hostages coming home.
And we're praying every day that it happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, October the 7th. Okay, October the 7th, we're all watching the news. It's Simchat Torah. Okay, it's the day when we're celebrating being given the Torah.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, there's a news item that turns around and says there's an incredible barrage of rockets going on in the south of Israel, and something different's happening. And I get a phone call from my boss, who's the mayor of the Eilot region, saying, "I think you need to come to work." Okay, my job now, I've stopped working with youth, and now I'm responsible for strategic development of the region.
Of the whole region.
Of the whole region.
Southern Israel.
And 13% of the state of Israel. Like,
wow.
That is my jurisdiction.
Wow.
It sounds impressive. We're only 5,500 people living there. So it's less impressive. And as I'm driving to work, I'm just seeing hundreds of cars driving in my way. Now, we live in the middle of the desert. Okay, You do not see hundreds of cars driving down the road. Okay, You see like one an hour. And my only response is to turn around and say, okay, I'm going to ring up every community and I'm going to say, open your doors, open the gates. Anybody wants to come in at the moment, just let them in, okay? We'll figure something out. By the evening, we had 1,500 people already counted. I'm not saying that there were more, there were probably more, but we knew of 1,500 people who just moved into our communities, okay? We have 1,484 families living in the region. Okay, that means everybody had somebody in the house. By the next day, we had 3,600 evacuees. That means everybody had 2 people in the house and no more room on the couches.
Wow.
Okay, and we thought it was for a few weeks and everything will be fine. So nobody was particularly stressed, but these people had left their homes without anything. They left without clothes, they were people who came barefoot.
Wow.
Okay, so we had this issue of turning around and saying, okay, how are we going to feed them? How are we going to provide diapers for the babies? How are we going to provide clothes for people? How are we going to provide them with education? What are we going to do? What's going to be the effect on us? All right, and so what we did was we turned around and said, we'll do what we know to do best. We'll just ask the people to come and help. We won't tell them what we want. We'll just say, do what you can.
Yeah, come help.
Within 48 hours, we already had a full logistics center that had everything you can possibly imagine, from clothes to canned goods to diapers to games, okay? Like, as a story of my own, from my own family, okay? My kids were watching the news and said, Dad, what can we do? And I said, listen, your dad's doing it. You can be fine. They said, no. They went around the house, they bought a couple of cartons from the local convenience store, started filling up with every single toy that they had in the house, okay? We have no toys in my house anymore, okay? They went down to one of the hotels that there were in Eilot, where there were evacuees staying, and they said, Dad, but we don't want to take this to the kids, because if we take it to the kids, they're going to feel like they're getting charity, and we don't want them to feel like they're getting charity. We want to have them feel like these are their toys, that they may not be at home, but they still have something. And so we went round the back, and they took a trolley, and they put this thing, and they just wrote a sign on, these are your toys. All right, and then they went home. They didn't wait to see how the faces of the kids, and it was my moment of pride in my kids, of turning around and saying, okay, that's how you give charity. You give charity by turning around and saying that I'll give what I can, and I don't expect any response.
Yeah. All right, we have a minute and a half. Tell me and our audience, what is the need in southern Israel right now? You've got thousands of evacuees, families, children, who came there barefooted and with nothing. Got a minute and 20 seconds.
So I'm going to tell you the truth is, we live on Israel's eastern border, okay? We have no fence. And October the 7th can happen again.
Yeah.
We figured out the food. We figured out the clothing, okay? What we've decided, what we're doing, and what we're doing together with Commission Fields is we're going to build an emergency response center with the idea that we'll have eyes on the border 24/7. It'll provide the opportunity for passing information from place to place. The one thing we learned from October the 7th was, when there's a war, the army won't communicate with civilians.
Yeah.
All right, and therefore we need to be able to communicate with one another, because it was something we talked about earlier, about that when you call the cops, it'll take them 10 minutes to get there.
And that's too long.
All right, that's too long, and therefore what we want to do is to know that our civilian communities are able to protect themselves. We've been training over the last year to make sure that we have all of the skills that we need in order to protect our communities. And so that's the one thing we need. We need that help to build that emergency center and to provide cameras on every fence, so that we know that if danger is in sight, that we can protect ourselves.
All right, so that's your opportunity to give. These are our brothers and sisters in Israel, and we have a mandate from the Father to make a difference, not just here in Arkansas, but around the world. We'll see you next week right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch Television. But we need you to get involved. Contact here on the screen Commission Fields, and Dr. Kathy Dorsch will give you the information you need for your ministry, your church, or for you personally, so you can be involved in changing the world all the way from Arkansas to Israel. Richard, thanks for being on the show. We'll see you next week right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Bye-bye.